for several years. The same way, that relationship has been there. But the most important thing is that when you overstretch the relationship, the tendency is that the outcome of the relationship, when you contravene the relationship, just like a normal human relationship, if you go contrary to the do's and don'ts of a relationship, there will be bound for reactions in a relationship. The same thing is applicable to fire, relationship with humanity. When you don't manage fire very well, the outcome will always be disastrous. And that's why I'm here briefly to give you the theoretical and the practical aspect of firefighting. First and foremost, we need to have an idea. When you see fire burning anywhere, there must be 3 chemical elements involved in that fire. That is the first background. That is the first knowledge you should have in the back of your mind. When you see fire anywhere, there must be fuel, there must be heat, there must be oxygen. These 3 chemical elements must be present in any fire situations you see in any part of the world. And if you want to identify each of these 3 chemical elements, then let's talk about what is fuel. Fuel, to normal human knowledge, is just a PMS used by cars. But in the fire terms, it encompasses more than the PMX as a fuel. Anything that can be burned by fire is fuel to fire. That's the understanding. A broad knowledge about fuel is that the wooden system, the plastic system, the paper, the fire, the temperature have not risen to a particular percentage. Like, have this in the back of your mind. The oxygen within the air we have before a fire occurs is about 21% in the air. Fire, the temperature needed by fire to ignite needed only 16% for fire to ignite. So that is heat. Heat is as a result of the bacteria or the weather that leads to ignition of fire at any point in time. So heat is at the point at which fire can ignite. Then now we are now going to talk about the oxygen. That oxygen is the air, the carbon dioxide. In most cases, the understanding of air is that when, as a fireman, if I want to explain what it is, now reduces it, cuts out the oxygen, and the fire goes off. In our local technologies, or the chef, or our local mothers, back then, they will be frying something on the fire, and all of a sudden, fire goes into the fry pan. And the local woman does not know what he has done. He picked up a tray, covered the fry pan, and the fire goes off from the fry pan. He has taken out oxygen out of these 3 combinations. In absence of any of these 3 chemical elements in fire, the fire goes off. If fuel is not in fire, fire goes off. If you remove only heat and oxygen, the fire cannot be sustained. If you remove heat, oxygen and fuel cannot sustain. If you remove oxygen, fuel and heat cannot sustain a fire. So in every fire you see, there must be these 3 chemical elements. So first and foremost, how do I define fire? Fire can be defined as a rapid combination of 3 chemical elements resulting in the production of heat and light. Materials we put on our body. And what can be used to extinguish such fire when it occurs? You pick the DCP, it can solve the problem. If you pick water, ordinary water, it can solve the problem. You pick carbon dioxide, it can solve the problem. Class B is it involves flammable liquids. What are flammable liquids? Is the PMS you have in a filling station using in your cars. If fire involves flammable liquids, you don't just apply water. Water does not form an agent to extinguish a fuel fire. Why? Because water is heavier than fuel. The moment a fuel fire is ongoing and you decide to apply ordinary water, you succeeded in causing more danger because you transport fire from point A to point B, C, D, and continue to cause destruction. So what we, as a fire level we have, you mix water with a chemical. There's a particular chemical, the foam, we mix it with water. So that when 2 of them are extinguishing a fire blankets the heat, take the heat out of the 3 chemical elements I mentioned earlier. By the time the chemical come in contact, the foam come in contact with the heat, it takes out the heat and the fire goes up. But if you are using ordinary water to extinguish a fire at the filling station, you are causing more harm. So it's not advisable. And at the same time, in a building like we have here, if there is an another class of fire is electrical fire. when the fire involves electrical appliances, it is not advisable. If fire comes up within any of your electrical appliances like the ACs, the socket and the rest of other things, you don't use water to extinguish it. If you use water, you succeeded in transferring the energy from the electrical source back to yourself. And what does it mean? When the water goes in contact with electricity, the current is supplied to the water back to the person, to the fireman or whoever that pick up they're using the water, and electrocute you, and it can result to casualties of death. So we don't apply water in extinguishing electrical appliances within building, even private building, government building, or whatever building you find yourself. So what are the, how do you extinguish electrical fire within a building? First and foremost, go to your changeover, electrical changeover, where you have your NEPA switch and generator switch. The moment there is a building in this, fire in this building, all I advise one of the technical persons is to run down to the changeover point. Put the changeover on the E-trap at the middle. It's not on generator and it's not on a NEPA supply. So that the current going into the building automatically have no place to source current from. You have succeeded in taking 50% of the fire from the building. Then now you can now apply use of your fire extinguishers within the building. DCP, CO2, carbon dioxide to extinguish the fire. You understand? So these are the kind of classes of the fire we have. When you have a particular kind of fire, you don't apply the other extinguishing medium to extinguish another source of fire from flammable liquids. Just like I say, water is not usable for flammable liquids. So let me not bore you with a lot of theoretical aspect of it. So, the differences between these two again is that this, if you are an asthmatic patient, you can't use it within a confined space. In a closed room, if you make use of this and you have you are an asthmatic patient, it chokes you and take the breath out of you. So it is not good for using within a confined space. It can be used in an open space, especially recommended for vehicle, generator, mechanical related equipment. But things can be used within the kitchen, within a confined space. It doesn't have aftermath effects on your head. And this, if it touches any food, you can still eat the food. It's just like an ice block. By the time it comes on the food material, it disappears within a sprinkle of time. But if it come in contact with your soup, don't eat it. If you eat the wahala. So these are the main differences within the two. So now we are going to practicalize it. I put a pin. That's the point of pin. Then the nozzle. Squeeze the lever. I will do that. There's no after effects. The carbon dioxide went directly to the fire extinguishing. There's no after effect. It doesn't affect anything. But let me make use of this. You know the
ड्राई केमिकल नाक में चला गया इधर ही मार रहा है
As it is now, I can still use it immediately here. But if I leave it now, in the next 20 minutes, the pressure in the content will go off completely because as I press here now, the thing has gone down. It cannot come back. So that is it cannot come back. This one now the pin can no longer come back. But because I use this one, I can see the content so much.
हाँ वही मैं कह रहा हूँ सर उनकी गाड़ी भी डाल के प्रैक्टिकल कर लेते हैं
Explaining before now, I told you guys there are different methods to eliminate the fire. What I want to do here now is to take air, oxygen, out of the three chemical elements that causes the fire. So all I need to do is to eliminate oxygen from here. Air, normally called air. But what I'm what I'm going to do. You have to be very careful. The process of extinguishing the fire, don't get burned with it. So you have to be very careful. Not they are airtight. Any traces of air, here, the fire will still be here. That's it. The fire is hot. There is equally. You must be airtight for you to eliminate the fire. But if there's any chances of air going into the bucket, the fire will still continue. The fire will still continue. The firemen turn over from their headquarters to come and attend to a fire. If there's a fire in Nigeria will tell you in Jesus' name it will not happen. If there's a fire here and you have this fire hydrant and a fire hose with this branch, you can at least to some extent your security men or some individual within your workers can make use of this to fight the fire. That's what I'm trying to say. This is fight major fire. When there is a major fire, but when the fire is make use of the fire extinguishers. But when there is a major fire, you take care of you make use of this to fight the fire. So the pressure will take it up. Don't worry. Because of the pressure, the amount of pressure supplied from the machine. The operator of the fire appliance may give you how many bar that is not required. And the next thing, this will carry you up. When it's bringing you down, it's not just taking you up, it's taking you dashing all over the place. So it's very careless, don't be very careless to make use of it when the pressure is very much. The advice.
पानी आ रहा देख बहुत मुश्किल होता है मैं वही कह रहा था होली पे करवा दो इसके अंदर रंग नहीं मिला सकता ना उधर खुले उधर
You don't fight fire. Fight fire by taking the knob on the base of the fire. You can get